Hello and welcome. My name is Steve Bennett and I'm the CEO of the Direct Business here at Charter Hall. In this short presentation, I'm going to take you through some of the key economic trends that are currently impacting the Australian real estate market. You can see up there on the screen, we've plotted on the x-axis economic growth and on the vertical axis population growth. The reason why you'll see us often talk about population growth is because in real estate, demographics are your friend. So this trend is something that will play out over the long term, and if this immigration continues up, you will see it flow through to greater demand for all real estate sectors, not just housing, which is often in the press, but industrial and warehousing, office and retail property as well. But what is happening in the real estate market specifically? What are we observing on the transaction volume? And what are we seeing with RBA rates and what does it mean for real estate? The first graph there on the left-hand side shows the transaction volumes across the core real estate sectors, where the orange is industrial, blue representing office, red retail, and the small multiple holdings. What you can clearly see is that transaction volume has declined materially. In fact, it's at the same low point as it was when COVID first hit. And why has transaction volume slowed in the real estate market? Well, the key driver is what's been happening with interest rates, both in Australia and globally. The chart on the right-hand side clearly shows that we've had 13 interest rate increases since May 2022. In fact, November's most recent increase took the rate to 4.35%. What that's meant is that there's greater uncertainty around property capitalisation rates, discount rates, and return hurdles that investors need to meet. That is one of the key reasons why transaction volumes have slowed materially and slowed across all the real estate sectors at the same time. It doesn't mean transactions aren't happening, but it does mean there is less of them and they are taking much longer to complete. So these trends which I've just talked about, whether it's population growth, slowing transaction volume, or rapidly increasing interest rates, do impact the real estate market. So there are some things which we cannot control, but there are some things which are in the manager's ability to influence and control throughout the investment term. Up there on the screen, you can see a number of the key items which I believe the team have done an excellent job at. The first being our occupancy rate. Across all the asset classes which we're invested into, we materially exceed the PCA, Property Council of Australia, occupancy benchmarks. On the lease terms, we focus on long-term leases, and we have very strong tenant customers, which means we haven't had any material defaults across the portfolio, meaning the income which we're receiving as rentals has been very secure. On the debt management side, we're very lucky in Charter Hall. We've got a very deep and experienced treasury team who are very active on extending out debt terms and financing the best available rates in the market. The only reason why it's orange is because over time your interest rate hedging does roll off, and that as the higher interest rates come through, it does mean that your interest expense does go up as well. On the property improvement side, well, Charter Hall is an institutional manager. It means that we maintain our properties to a high standard. It means we maintain them through active CapEx programs. We focus on high environmental ratings. And this is how you need to manage commercial real estate in this country if you want to attract those tier 1 tenants, which we're always seeking to achieve. And as I just said, the sustainability is something the group have been very focused on for well over a decade. And all our funds have high NABERS energy ratings, and it's an area which we are constantly focused on improving. So whether it's waste, water or energy, the team are actively moving our ratings up over long periods of time. But it is important to realise that there are things that as a manager just simply can't control. Inflation and interest rates, I've already mentioned, but they've increased. That isn't something we have any ability to impact. And what it does mean is it flows on to the next point. It's lifted capitalisation rates and discount rates, not just across property, but across different asset classes as well. This is one of the reasons why a number of the funds have had valuations declining. So capitalisation rates as they increase, or discount rates as they increase, has an inverse relationship to the price of an asset. The macroeconomic environment, look, there are global shocks, there is volatility at the moment, and whilst it doesn't have a direct impact on the Australian real estate that we manage, it does flow into the inflation, interest rates, as well as reduce some of the offshore demand for asset acquisitions, which has traditionally been very strong. The demographics is one of the positives which I've already talked to, and that's why that's highlighted as green across the long term. And unemployment's an interesting one. We are sitting at around 48-year unemployment lows, 3.6, 3.7%. But there is a feeling out there that it's changing. In fact, the RBA have had a stated objective that they believe it needs to increase to around 4.5% for inflation to come back within their longer term goals. So these are some of the external impacts which we are seeing in real estate. It's part of the reason why real estate does move through cycles as well. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions regarding anything that you've heard in this video, please do reach out and contact one of our team.